What is up the bridge?
It's everything. Going up the bridge is Ron's streamlined gradient scale of awareness.
But what are the actual steps of going up the bridge? In other words, the steps you would like to be able to take.
Doing steps in being processed. You do the objectives, and then you do you go first through clear, and then you do the clear certainty rundown, and then you do the OT levels 1 through 8. Before you do clear, you do the NED, the New Era Dianetics levels. You can also, there's 2 alternates in that area. If you don't go clear on NED, then you can do the power processes. There's various methods. There is a grade chart which I can show you, which indicate the path to go up the bridge, and I can explain it to you if you like.
How far up the bridge did you go?
Through objectives.
That's all. You didn't do any of the OT.
I did it on the left side of the bridge.
On the training side.
Right, right.
Do you know who XENU was?
XENU, no.
XENU.
It doesn't ring a bell.
Never heard of the Emperor XENU?
No.
Okay.
Nope. Who is he?
It's for me to know and you to guess.
Oh, I can look it up if it's here.
Maybe it's not. Maybe it's in upper level materials.
How far up?
OT3?
Well, as I say,
what would happen to you if you were exposed to OT3 materials before you were ready?
That would be the end, basically.
What would happen?
Well, I'm told that if you see it, you could physically die. Your physical body could die.
Would you start freewheeling?
Yeah. Freewheeling or freeloading. That's a joke in Scientology. You know what that freeloader is a person who leaves his post. No, I was told that if you see the wall of fire materials before you've been trained on the preps, then it's too unconfrontable to handle. At this point, I'm willing to take that shot.
And what happens to you? Describe what would happen if you started freewheeling, or if you saw some of this material when you weren't.
Well, you do a
prepared
bunk
for
to the between lives area.
Do a what?
You do a bunk to the between lives area, which means I wish you'd get the dictionary.
You need the dictionary?
No, I don't need it. I just want to tell it to you standardly.
Okay. I think you ought to have the dictionary if you need it then.
Well, I mean, I just don't want to. It's very important.
We'll get you the dictionary.
Technical dictionary, second shelf, 7th book over. Right. Left, 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 left. Right. Okay. 8th book, all right. Good. Yeah, I shifted the books the other day because I needed room for a check sheet. Okay. Doing a bunk. It's very important. That's when you leave the body and...
you don't want to go past a word you don't understand, do you?
That's right. I don't want any of us to have that problem. Mark doesn't realize the problem with that. The body collapses, the heart is still beating, the lungs are still breathing, because the genetic entity is running those, but the thetan is gone. That's what we say colloquially, over the hills and far away, and he's now passing Galaxy 18. The person shoots out of his head and he's on his way. He hit the dispersal just adjacent to a ridge. That's doing a bunk. In other words, but it's worse than that. If you see material of OT3, you would be the effect of everything negative in the between lives area. In other words, the wall of fire is what? Okay. When I was in Denmark, in Copenhagen, I did I did training on the left side of the bridge, and part of it was confronting some of those materials, even though I wasn't processed up there. You see, you can go all the way up the left side of the bridge too. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Okay.
Which means that you
can train your way through a co-audit up to the highest levels, which would be class 12 on the left side.
Which would mean that you could audit somebody
on OT 7, completion.
A higher level than you yourself.
Exactly, because an auditor is senior to a clear. Have you ever heard of that?
But then how would it be that you could audit somebody on materials that if you saw, you would start freewheeling on?
When you're auditing those materials, you're able to confront them, because the auditing TRs, the TRs you use to audit them, get you to confront them.
Okay, can I just stop right here? I want to know a few things.
Yeah.
What do you mean by auditing?
An auditing process is where one person listens to the other person, and they go through a series of questions and drills in order to make the able more able. That's the basic definition.
Person asks you questions?
Yeah, they ask you questions which can be on a check sheet, but auditing is where you're causative. You don't really rely on the check sheet all of the time. You have to be able to produce an effect. The effect is getting to the person up to the next level. It's actually a process of getting the person through that grade.
Okay, but auditing is more than just asking questions, because you're on the cans.
The auditor is watching the reads of the person who's on the cans.
That's the e-meter?
Yeah.
And what's happening with the e-meter? Can you just explain that for Mark?
Well, the e-meter is giving you reads, floating needle and rock slams if you have that. Different things can happen, you know. What would you like to know about the meter? Typically, in an auditing situation, you would be, let's say you were the pre-clear. You wouldn't see the meter.
This is an e-meter?
This is an e-meter. See? Say hello. That's when you do tone 40 on an object. You know that drill, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me help my microphone. Where do you... It's okay. Where do you get this e-meter from?
You buy it from any central organization.
Who makes it?
Bridge Publications.
I mean, Scientology sells it to you?
Sure. It's about $3,500.
This one that I'm holding?
Yeah.
It's called the
A Mark
Hubbard
Super 7.
Professional Mark Super 7?
Right.
Now, what do these things do?
Okay. I can explain it to you. This is your tone arm. Okay? This is the most important dial on the meter because it indicates whether a process is flattened or whether it has to be audited out until you get a phenomena where you go on to the next process. This meter is very, very unique because it gives you a digital read on the tone arm. You may not have even seen a Mark Super 7.
Haven't.
You've seen the 6, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This gives you a digital readout for the tone arm, which that does not do. Follow? Also, your needle is of a much better quality. The needle itself is calibrated better. You have, they even have a remote tone arm now, which I would love to get, but unfortunately they won't sell me one, you know. But they have a remote tone arm, which you can work from a different direction. The idea, of course, well, on the upper level processes, when you're exterior, to be able to use the remote tone arm would be a
You mean
great
when you're
advantage.
exteriorizing, when you're out of your body?
Yeah. You do solo auditing. When you do solo auditing, you don't hold the cans. You're holding them upside down, Mark. You don't hold the cans like this. You hold them like this with one hand, like this.
Yeah.
And you get your reads, and you write the reads down because you're auditing yourself.
Can you audit yourself for us right now?
Yeah, sure. What would you like to? What would you like to know?
Why don't you tell us about something?
I'd have to. He won't be able to see the meter when I'm doing this, though. You can.
Okay, I'll attest to what's on the meter.
Okay. Well, let me get it to the point where I see. When you audit yourself, you're setting it a lot differently from when you audit others.
All right.
Because, for example, here, shall I show you the? You know, you're skipping around. Shouldn't I show you how the meter works as far as you auditing me, for example?
Why don't you audit Mark?
Audit me.
That way, the meter could be seen.
Could be seen.
Okay. I will hold the cans.
Like this.
Let me just get everything set up here. Hold on a second. Hold them. No, not like that. Each can one can in one hand. Don't squeeze them too hard. Just a gentle squeeze. Hold on. Most men audit, by the way, at 2, and Mark's auditing. We're setting him around 2.4.
What does that mean?
Well, women audit at 3. You know that, don't you? Yeah.
No.
Oh.
But I've never had any left-sided
Does that mean
bridge
I was
training.
a woman in a past life?
Oh, I think a lot of us have been.
Okay.
Okay. What were you just thinking about?
What?
What were you just thinking about?
Nothing.
You were holding a thought there, maybe. All right. Hold on. Okay, just stay there, right there. Okay.
Now, be careful. Don't ask him anything too embarrassing.
I'll ask you an easy question. Have you ever lived before?
I don't know.
He's telling the truth. It fell. The meter fell. In other words, I can show you. It went all the way to the right when he asked the question. Do you consider yourself to be a competent attorney?
Absolutely.
Good. Very well done. Is the sky orange?
No.
See where it went?
Except there's something I just noticed.
Yeah.
I squeezed the can slightly and it jumped.
Well, you're not supposed to do that.
But how do I know to keep the exact same pressure on?
When you
every
said, is the
second?
sky orange, and you said no, it showed a lie reaction, because at the end of the day, the sky is orange. And it showed that you see, it contacts you as a being, not as a, it contacts not the analytical mind.
Contacts the...
I mean, it doesn't contact the, it contacts you as a being.
In other
And-
words, you're Thetan.
The Thetan.
In other words, you're saying this has no scientific...
Oh, sure it does. You just lied without your knowledge, and it picked it up.
So if I lie without... If I do not purposefully lie,
You know what I'm
it
saying?
tells me that I lied anyway. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So if my subconscious knows that I lied,
It'll indicate it just like it did just now.
but you said it's not the subconscious.
Well, it's the Thetan. It's
The Thetan.
you as a being
Okay.
always knows what's real.
All right. Ask me something else along those lines.
Well, give me let's use
why
one
don't
of my
we,
check
why don't we
sheets.
show the meter to the camera, hold it up towards
Okay,
the
yeah.
camera,
Right. And
Well,
then just ask a question so that...
so
Okay,
that the
give me
camera can see.
Give me one of those check sheets. That,
just ask a question. You know, and then we can do the check sheet in a minute, but just ask any question while the meter's to the camera.
okay, well, just a second. Are you holding the cans the same way?
Yes.
No, so, all right. Hold on just a second. Okay. All right. What was that thought? What did you just think of?
God, I wish I could lose some weight.
You see what happened? As he thought of something, without me doing anything, the meter indicated
A thought?
a fall. Yeah. Okay. Let's just.
But I'm always thinking.
All right. Let me. Now, try not to think of a pink elephant. You trying real hard not to think of a pink elephant?
Not at all.
See the reaction? Falling needle.
Now try manipulating the cans with your hands for a moment, Mark.
Wait a minute now. That's not right. Why would you want him to do that?
Because I just want to see the needle move in response to physical manipulations of his hands. That's all. Okay.
In other words, you're trying to discredit this meter.
No,
No.
I'm not trying to discredit anything. I just wanted to see it happen.
You believe the meter works.
Oh yes. So then why would you want to tell him away any type of process that could throw the meter off?
Now, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Has it ever been explained to you in Scientology through your studies exactly how this works scientifically?
It's an electrogalvanometric response, which has nothing to do with moisture on your skin like a lie detector. It contacts the Thetan, the beingness, through the vessel that you're operating, which is the physical body.
But how scientifically does it? How mechanically does it do it? Or let me ask you this, why doesn't a lie detector machine...
Because that measures physiological responses like sweat. And the reason why a lie detector doesn't work is because when you finish telling a lie, you're still sweating. You don't start unsweating. Whereby, when you lie on this, the needle will have its reaction, and that's it. It contacts not you, but not you as a body, but you as a thetan. Not the conscious level you.
So the way you find things out in Scientology is you get hooked up to this, you hold these two cans.
I hold the cans.
And somebody asks you questions.
Or I would audit myself. I can do solo auditing. I mean,
and that's how you find out about your past lives?
Oh yeah, yeah. You get reads.
So from these cans and this machine, you found out about the experience you had with milk? Being poisoned by milk?
What are some of the other...
But I also have the mental image pictures, and I can contact those images.
What are some of the other events from your various past lives that stand out as most significant?
Well, how far back do you want to go?
Go back as far as you can.
Just give us your hit parade of the most significant...
Okay, the most significant event that I wrote about. In fact, I guess that would be the most significant event.
You're talking about a book you wrote?
I'm talking about a book that I wrote. The binder is falling out. You're not being careful with this, Mark. I told you not to be sloppy. Okay.
What's the name of the book?
The Holy Book of Life. And I found out who I was, and look at what you did here. All right, look. I just have to take better care of these things. Okay. The Holy Book of Life by Malchut the Antichrist. That is the most significant event on my time track.
Okay, just tell us about that event. For the moment, put the book aside and tell us what you discovered. And in fact, if you can remember, it would be very helpful if you could explain how it was that
I learned the information.
What led up to
Fine.
it exactly?
There was an image, a mental image picture, which I found, which the auditor found, of this. The first scene I recall to do with this incident is where I was trying to reconcile an estranged, lost relationship. I hadn't seen this family member. At that time I didn't know it was my son. I hadn't seen this family member ever. But I knew where he was, and I knew how to reach him because I found out some of the things he was doing. And I confronted him with the fact that I was his father, and the image that I had, the mental image pictures, the first mental image pictures of this, was of this son of mine cursing me, beating me up, urinating on me, and exposing me to all kinds of degradation. And we went to the beginning of the incident, and we went back and forth, and finally I found out, the whole image came through very clearly, that I was Jesus Christ's real father. That I was a neighbor of his mother 4 houses down. And his mother was only 13 at the time. I was 16. And she used to go out in the morning at sunrise to bathe. And, of course, there was no indoor plumbing 2,000 years ago. And, of course, I had always found this girl very attractive and sensual. And, you know, one of the disadvantages of remembering your past lives is that when you find somebody in the past that means so much more to you than you have found in this lifetime seems very unreal. Have you ever noticed that? Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, the point is, Mary, his mother, was very, very sexy and sensual. And every morning I used to watch her bathe, hiding behind the bushes. And I would get very excited and I would masturbate, you know. And this went on for like months, 7 months or so. And, of course, eventually she caught me, you know, doing this, and there was a big flap over that. But in the meantime, I made her pregnant artificially because the sperm, the semen, went through the bushes, through the water, about 4 feet away, and penetrated her. And when she found out she was pregnant, they had a doctor who examined her and to see whether she had been whether she had sexual intercourse, because that would have been grounds for a stoning, you know. And they found out that she was intact. Her hymen was still there. And of course, what happened, one thing led to another, and the family decided to make a big PR campaign out of this and blame it on God. They had this rabbi, Zacharias, who came up with the idea. But anyway, that is how Jesus was really born. But what happened was, I never really had a chance to meet him because when I confronted Mary with it, before she had the baby, she denied the whole thing, and she was like very adamant about it and never wanted to see me again. But 30 years later, when he was preaching outside of the outskirts of Jerusalem, where I had moved to, I left that city, and I was in business there. I went to see him to tell him who I really was. We even looked alike. We physically, the mock-ups, the bodies looked alike.
Of Jesus?
Yeah, I looked like him. I'm just an older version of him. But he was so outraged. I think, in fact, I know he believed all the garbage that he was who he thought he was, you know, the Son of God and all this other stuff. He was that deluded that I couldn't even go into a good ARC with him.
What's an ARC?
Affinity, reality, and communication, when you find a level of agreement. And consequently, he became really en theta about everything, and he started to hit on me, you know, and he beat the hell out of me, really.
How many auditing sessions did it take before all of this emerged?
Oh, quite a few. I would say close to probably between 15 and 18.
Were they consecutive, or did this happen over a long period of time?
It happened over a 2-month period. It wasn't necessarily consecutive. We handled other things, and then we went back to this because there was always charge on this incident.
But you keep going back to this with the auditor.
Oh yeah, the auditor brought me back to the incident because it was so heavily charged on the meter. He was getting all kinds of weird reads, and it had to be flattened, and a lot of problems. For example, we started in this lifetime. We started, when I was 4 years old. Every time I used to see a church, I used to feel angry. I used to feel this intense anger, you know. And even after that, we're tracking backwards now. Originally, first thing I did wrong, I spit at a church, you know. And then there was such anger prior to that, and we tracked it back, and we found out, interestingly enough, not only was I his father, but that was my last lifetime. Last lifetime. As I told you before, the chronological time has nothing to do with real time. The time that I was in a concentration camp in Auschwitz, and I got out of there and I married this Gabrielle Johannes and got poisoned with the milk, chronologically was my last time, but that happened 8 lifetimes ago. My last lifetime in real time, in my real time track, which has nothing to do with your time track or your time track or the time track of anyone else, was this very, very pressing incident.
Which was?
Which was my being Jesus Christ's real father.
Is that why you had such a big charge on it?
Oh yeah, because it was current. It was thoroughly into re-stimulation every time I would see a church or a crucifix or a picture of him, or an image of him, or an image of the scene or the condition or the incident. And I was like violently flung into a stimulation like wherever I would go, because there'd be a church on almost every corner. You know, and this was really affecting my sanity. The fact that I had this intense charge on something I knew nothing about.
How aware of the re-stimulation were you before you came across his imagery?
Quite aware of the fact that I would get like goosebumps and tremble and feel this hot and cold running flashes, you know, every time I would see a church. I could never confront going into one. I would go on these tours of these ancient churches, and I could never walk into one. And even with my parents, who were conservative Jews, and and like they said it shouldn't mean anything to you because you're not a Christian. Why should it matter? Why don't you want to go into these churches? And I just said I can't go in there. I felt like I was not able to breathe the minute I even came close to a door. Now I've walked into Arabic mosques and I had no charge whatsoever. Walked into loads of temples, but the minute I got near a church, I got these terrible somatics all through my life. And in fact, you asked me before if about past lives. Yes, it comes back to me that I felt there was something there. I felt that there is some real serious overt, well, I'm using their words now, but okay. I mean, there was some real serious problem. And of course, the overt was fathering a person like that, because he was basically a terrorist. He was promoting these illusions of fear and death through the Bible. I mean, not through the Bible, of course, because the Bible was written after him. But the fact is, in his lifetime, he was like saying that the only way to reach God is through him, and all of this stuff. And if you don't do it his way, you go to hell. There is no such place as hell. Hell is the between lives area, and the mental image pictures within it.
Did you tell people in the Church of Scientology about these realizations?
Of course.
How did they react to them?
You mean you're talking about after they happened?
Yes.
I became an instant star. They said I was the one who was going to destroy the Christian church, and all of they were looking for me. In fact, I had to go to Flag for a special briefing because they found their guy. I mean, there's been other cases like that when they found Einstein, and they found some other major people. And because very few people are important, and even that role would have unto itself been unimportant, but the fact is that the person connected with it was so important, and they found the real father of Jesus Christ, and they could prove it on the meter and show the world what stupid bullshit, I'm on videotape, but
it's all right. Okay. When did you go to Flag?
Oh, I went to Flag numerous times.
But for this
in connection with this incident?
Right.
In '85.
What is Flag?
Flag is the central organization of the upper levels of Scientology, where in other words, certain things can't be done other than in Flag. So I had to do my FPRD, my false purpose rundown. Certain things had to be done in connection with this incident.